Hey, so first off, go to Windows Search and type in Control Panel. Click on System and Security, then click on System. Go to Advanced System Settings, and then click Performance. Now, here you can customize how Windows looks and acts. I like the default because it's smooth on my PC, but you can use these settings to make it more snappier and faster, but still look decent. Then click Apply. As you can see, the windows close really fast and the shadows are not as visible. Alright, next up you want to search for power and select choose power plan. Now, if you have a Ryzen CPU, I recommend choosing the Ryzen balanced power plan that comes with your chipset updates. If you're on a laptop and your battery still works, do not choose high performance and go with balance. If you're on a desktop, I'd still recommend choosing balance, and if you have a workstation, you can choose high performance if you'd like. Now click on Edit Plan Settings. Now you can set these to whatever you like. I usually don't like my PC falling asleep or turning off. Now click on Advanced Power Settings and go to Hard Disk. Now you want to set this value to 0 so your hard disk doesn't pause and you have a smoother experience with hard drives. Now you want to go to wireless adapter settings, power saving mode, and set that to maximum performance. Then go to USB settings, USB selective suspend, and click that to disable. Check these processor state, but I don't recommend changing anything here, so just leave it default. And that's it. You can click apply and no restart is required. Now this is for nvidia. So you want to right click your desktop and open nvidia control panel, and these are the 3D settings that I use for performance and quality. I made these changes instead of setting everything to high performance thanks to Shogo's. Check out his video if you'd like to customize these settings for your needs with great benchmark results and great explanation of what each setting does. Now, if you have a G-Sync compatible monitor, you can choose this. Low latency mode is nice if your GPU is slower than your CPU. So you can either choose this to turn on or ultra. I just leave it on ultra. For power management mode, go with power optimized so your GPU can work at full capacity only when it's needed. This helps with thermals. Alright, so you want to turn this off, and then for LOD BIOS, set to clamp for a bit of performance improvement. Texture filtering quality can be set to high performance or quality depending on your graphical needs. I go with quality. Alright, next up, you want your scaling to be on aspect ratio and display, unless you have a really old monitor. Now go to adjust video color settings and click with nvidia settings and set the dynamic range to full for better colors. Now you also want to go to change resolution and scroll down and also select use nvidia settings. Now click on output dynamic range and set that to full. Next up, if you have a G-Sync or G-Sync compatible monitor, you can enable these settings, but you will have to enable V-Sync in the 3D settings and off in the actual game. Now, if your monitor is V-Sync compatible but it's uncertified, it may not work and you may experience some issues. So I'd rather leave it off if you don't have a G-Sync compatible monitor. Alright, next up are some Windows animation tweaks that can be turned off, and I heard that these can help slower systems. So you go to Windows search and type in transparency, you click on transparency effects, and you turn it off. Transparency just adds a colorful background blur effect on open windows to make it look nicer and cooler, as you can see here. Now you can also turn off animations, which will make windows open and close snappier and faster. Next, you want to right click the desktop, go to display settings, make sure this is set to recommended, go down to the advanced display settings and click on refresh rate. Then select the highest number available. Next up, you can hold Windows button and press I to open up the settings or search it. And go to gaming. Make sure game mode is enabled. Go back and disable Xbox game bar. Now go back and disable record would happen as well. This can help resolve some issues and overlay bugs in game, also claim to improve the FPS by a little bit. You can also choose what GPU to use for a specific application here. Alright, next up you want to search storage. Click on storage settings and enable storage sense. This will help you keep your drives clean and periodically clean the temporary folder files. You don't have to do it yourself. It can also clean after Windows update. Now be sure to change these settings to what you prefer. I just left it on default. Next up is virtual memory. This is mostly used for people with low RAM but who have an SSD since hard drives are already slow. Virtual memory can help free up some RAM but will take up storage space. So hopefully in the end, your system will run a little bit smoother if you're really laggy due to low RAM. Alright, so this is usually for people who have more than one drive. So do not change the first drive. Do not change anything that says system manage or system reserve. Do not change those drives. Now, where you have an empty drive, you can usually enter an amount of space that you can allocate. Now, usually 1 gigabyte of RAM has 1024 megabytes. So you have 4 or 2 gigs of RAM. You could just enter in a calculator and calculate it like this. So for the minimum, you just take your gigabytes of RAM and then you multiply it by 1.5, and for the maximum you multiply it by 3 and you enter in the values. And then you click set, and after you just click apply and OK. Now of course I'm not gonna do it because I have enough RAM for my system. I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is these days is still enough. So this is usually for people who have lower than 8 gigabytes of RAM. Hopefully this helped.